There we go. Okay. Let's try this again. Um, all right, let me get my windows one last. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and get started. So welcome everyone. I am so glad you're here. I'm very excited about this and hopefully we can get some more commercial composting going in our state and diverting some of our pollutants. So hopefully you are all in the right place. All right, so I am Jody Trendler, and the Sustainability and Resilience Director for the City of Norwalk. I just started in February, and this webinar is one of my efforts to try and increase composting across Norwalk as well as across the state. So I've come from the Chicago area, and I've been an advocate, and community organizer, nonprofit director, educator, lifelong learner. So I'm essentially in my dream job right now and very happy to be here in Connecticut with you all and hoping to move the needle on this effort. Um, so our commercial organics recycling law. The intent behind this is to help reduce our over 230,000 tons of annual wasted food across the state, which is about equal to 40,000 ICE vehicles when you break it down. This is not a new law, so it was actually initiated in 2011 and it went into effect in 2014. And it started off with the idea of helping to support the development of the infrastructure that's necessary to increase composting across the state. And so it is targeted at commercial entities that, when it started, that generated 104 tons, so about 2 tons per week of source separated organic materials, and that are located within 20 miles of a permitted source separated organic material composting facility. And then in 2020, they dropped that tonnage requirement to 52, and in 22, the requirement was dropped to 26. And then in 2024, again, the mandate is there to send to a facility that has available capacity and is willing to accept the materials. But what is new this year is that starting in March, commercial entities are actually required to send your composting metrics to DEEP. So that is the new bump up. And then starting next year in 2026 of July, schools that generate 26 tons per waste and are under the same criteria are also going to be required to comply with this law. So that's a general background of the law. And so today, essentially what I want to start is we've got amazing panelists for you all. So I'm very excited. We've got Chelsea Hahn from Deep, who is responsible for monitoring and managing this program. We have Nick DeVito from the Center for Ecotechnology, that's providing technical support for this. We have Nick Skiatis from Curbside Compost, and Samuel King from Blue Earth Compost, and they're both haulers, so they're going to be able to explain to people what's involved with that. We've also got Arthur Henderson from Table to Ground, who has on-site equipment. He's going to talk about on-site equipment that's possible to help comply with the law. And hopefully Caitlin will show up, and she is actually an entity that is successfully composting. So without further ado, I want to start with introducing Chelsea Hahn from Deep, and she is an environmental analyst, and she has been working with Deep since 2020. Um, and she's here to help people comply with this law. So Chelsea's been in the food systems for a long time. So she's had experience in restaurants, farms, grocery stores, and she's also coordinated the Yukon Extension's Farm to School program, and led the Food Corps program in Connecticut, which was a program to help teach gardening and nutrition to children. She's got a master's in public health from Yukon and has been deeply involved in anti-hunger work. So without further ado, Chelsea, I will hand it over to you.
Thank you very much, Jody. Appreciate it. Really happy to be here. As Jody said, I'm Chelsea Hahn. I'm part of the Sustainable Materials Management Group at Deep. And I will just further elaborate on the very well done overview of the law from Jody, and sort of talk through the individual pieces and some questions to sort of think about if you are not sure if you're supposed to be complying with the law. You can move to the next slide.
Oops, sorry.
You're fine. So this is the actual text of the law. I'm not going to read it to you, but essentially it says if you are in one of these sectors that are in blue or green, you're generating 26 tons of food waste, or as we call it in the law, source separated organic material. You must separate that material for recycling, and we also encourage folks to collect it for donation and also work on reducing the generation of food waste in general. And the next slide, please, Jody. Try to be quick so we can hear from everyone else. So these are the questions that sort of help you very generally think if you're supposed to be complying with the law. So is your business or organization part of one of these following sectors? And in 2025, actually, institutions were added, that whole column, including hospitality, and then the whole right column are how the law defines institutions. And that was just added in 2025. And the 20-mile radius was removed in 2025 for all of the sectors. So if your business is part of one of these sectors, then you would move to the next question. If not, we do encourage you to voluntarily collect food that might go to waste. Next slide, please. So, the next question here is, do you generate food waste or organics in your operation? And actually, the law lists organics as source separated organic material, so that is food scraps, food processing, residue, soiled and unrecyclable paper. And so if you're generating food waste, which you probably are if you're doing anything with food, you would move to the next question. Next slide, please. And if you're generating 26 tons or more of food waste, which is a half ton per week, and it is a decent amount, but there are a lot of folks in the state that are generating enough to be part of the law. You should be collecting. And if you're not sure, that's where the maybe comes in. You can use an online calculator to estimate your generation. And we will move to the next slide, please. So to estimate your generation rate, you need to think about what your business does and what you know about your business. So you know your meals served, your sales numbers, number of events, things like that, where you're generating food waste. You might be generating it in, the first run of your manufacturing process when you know that the seasoning doesn't come out right the first run, for instance. And so if you're thinking about all of these pieces of your business, then you can use online tools that I will mention and Nick from CET will mention, and to sort of calculate what you're generating. For example, from the calculator that CET provides on their website, um, if you're a grocery store and you have an 8 cubic yard dumpster and you fill it one time a week, you're going to be generating likely even over a half ton a week. Most grocery stores are generating enough and are collecting food. but not everybody. All right, next slide, please. So speaking of CET, I'm going to do a little shout out. CET is our contractor for this work. Nick and I have gone out to the field many times together, looking at generators that we think that should be participating in the law. And this is their contact information. Nick is going to explain everything CET does, so I'm going to keep us moving on to the next slide. So speaking of compliance visits, we are using the EPA Excess Food Opportunities Map to identify large-scale generators. That is available on our website. It's available from the EPA. This is data that they put together a high and low end of what is potentially being generated at many businesses across the state. This is data from 2023. So some of those places are not operating any longer, but gives us sort of a general sense of where to look because there are a lot of sectors in the law. And then these inspections, if I'm not out in the field with CET directly, we can refer the business to CET. I should mention that CET's support is free because they are under contract with Deep. So a really, really great opportunity to look at your waste systems. And the next slide, please. So, even though the law does mention sending separated food scraps to a processing facility, a composting facility, we also do really support and try to take steps to encourage folks to prevent wasted food. If you're looking at your systems, say you're a wedding venue and you always serve potatoes and most of them come back, maybe you need to look at your recipe, for instance. So we do want to encourage folks to reduce wasted food. Obviously, the whole point of food is for it to be consumed. And so that is definitely the first step. And I just wanted to show the wasted food scale of where the more environmentally friendly options are here. And then we also encourage, and CET can help with maximizing donations to feed humans and feed animals. And with that, I just want to also mention that the school piece that added to the law next year, that also includes the 20-mile radius is moved back in for the schools. It's a little complicated. I don't know why we did that, but that's what happened. And not many school buildings on their own are generating 26 tons of food waste. And so there's not a lot of schools that are going to be part of it, but I know there's a lot of interest in schools, and my coworkers are working on identifying schools that should be part of the law and starting to get them set up for next July. And one other thing is if you are generating 26 tons or more in your business practices, dropping below the threshold, so reducing down to even just 25 tons a year, is not how you escape participating in the law. You still need to be collecting that if you were going to possibly generate 26 tons or more. And we want to see you reducing it. We want to see you donating it. We want to see you collecting it for composting or anaerobic digestion as much as it as possible. And with that, I think I'm just on my last slide, which is just my contact information. Happy to hear questions, comments, suggestions. I work with and have talked with all of these fantastic panelists many, many times. So happy to be here with them all. And thank you again, Jody, for having me. And happy to hear from anybody. If you know a place that, you know, is in your town and is throwing away a lot of food, we want to help them set up a system to collect that food because obviously it's more environmentally unfriendly and sort of just emotionally sad, I think, to see food thrown away instead of fed to folks. And that's it for me. Thank you so much.
All righty. Thank you, Chelsea. We will do questions at the end. So, but if you do have questions, feel free to, there should be a Q&A link so you can put your questions in there, and we will also do questions at the end. So without further ado, if my mouse cooperates, there we go. I'm going to turn it over to Nick DeVito from the Center for Ecotechnology, or CET. So he's been at CET for 8 years, and he is a primary waste reduction consultant, and responsible for helping with technical assistance for any entities that are trying to implement practices to comply with this law. So I will leave it to you, Nick. Thank you.
Thank you, Jody. And thanks everybody for hopping on today. Some of you may have heard I'm seeing some names in the participant list, so I know I've seen some of you before, but some of you have heard of CET, maybe you haven't heard of CET. But here to talk about how we are here to help Connecticut businesses and help in the businesses in Norwalk with our free technical assistance. Next slide, please. So, who is CET? CET is an environmental nonprofit that helps people and businesses save energy and reduce waste. We have been around for nearly 50 years, and all of our waste reduction services are provided at no cost, thanks to Connecticut Deep's contract, as well as different federal and private funding sources. Next slide, please. Here is CET's impact since 2017 when we first launched our Wasted Food Solutions program. We have worked in multiple states throughout the USA, such as Ohio, California, Colorado, and many more, as well as our core programs in Massachusetts and other New England states. We have been able to help recover 21 million meals to feed people who may be facing food insecurity. We've helped divert over 150,000 tons of wasted food from disposal, and ultimately benefiting our community and environment through this avoided carbon emissions. Next slide, please. So as Chelsea showed on her slide, we do also follow the wasted food scale from EPA. Basically, we use this scale to guide our recommendations for working with food generating businesses. And even as Chelsea said, you might not always start at the top. Sometimes people will start like a food scrap diversion program and start diverting their food scraps, and then start moving back up towards prevention and donation once they start seeing what's actually going into that food scrap bin. It helps build that kind of awareness, and helps them start thinking about like their food scraps differently and how can they be preventing that or donating that material instead. I also want to mention here too, like when we say wasted food, we do kind of use that as like an encompassing, it could be food that the business is no longer not able to utilize in business, but it's still good and it could still go to feed people. So we do like to use the term wasted food because it does encompass both the food scraps as well as donatable material. But these strategies, the way that EPA ranks these, are most preferred to least preferred based on their impacts to the environment, society, and the economy. Preventing the wasted food is the most preferable method, of course, but they also typically offer the greatest potential for financial savings to businesses. Next slide, please. So going to really hone in on our technical assistance and what CET is actually doing. So we offer free assistance, and this slide is this high-level overview of what our technical assistance looks like, kind of from start to finish. Either I or another waste reduction consultant will observe the creation, the movement of wasted food, including areas where wasted food is generated, collected, how it moves to the facility, and where it ends up in the outdoor receptacle, using information on the business's current waste management operations and the waste amounts, as well as specific challenges and goals the business may have. CET develops a customized recommendation report to review together with the business. Our report lays out opportunities to prevent, donate, divert food scraps from disposal, while we are also offering suggestions on everything from implementing food scrap collection in the kitchen, staff training, designing signage, making introduction to service providers. We help review quotes from haulers, as well as helping with equipment selection. We like to talk through all different wasted food options, and basically work with the business to find out what is feasible to them to implement, and then kind of work with them for that successful rollout. Next slide, please. So, waste assessments. What, we know that we're going in, we're going to be making a report, but like, what does the actual waste assessment look like? So as a business owner, what is there to it? What am I expecting? So during the waste assessment, which can be done virtually or in person, we really want to connect with the various stakeholders and kind of find out any goals, or review any existing or past efforts that can contribute to a successful diversion program. As I said, our goal is to meet with the stakeholders. So this is, typically with a business owner or main decision maker, as our main point of contact, because they're the ones that are going to be, initiating that change. And we don't want to try to play telephone talking to a manager who has to get, 3 levels of approval. So like we really want to make sure that those stakeholders are there from the get-go. And different sectors are going to have different types of stakeholders. So, if you're a restaurant, typically it's going to be the owner. We would want to get the head chef's input because they're the ones that might be running the kitchen, maybe the front of house manager, because their staff might be in charge of taking care of bins and stuff. So we really want to get everybody's like insight, to make sure that the program is in line with current practices. CET staff, we're looking to observe how the waste is being currently handled and understanding the flow as it moves through the facility. As I said beforehand, we are looking at the EPA wasted food scale. So we're going to take all of our observations and build recommendations off of our observations based off of that food scale. So, a prime example is as I'm walking through the kitchen, if I see what looks to be maybe a tray of material that was just tossed into a trash can, I'll be asking, during my site visit, like, hey, like, why was this tray of food tossed? Like, is there potential of donation here? Could we have donated this before letting it sit and getting expired, or whatever the reasoning was? Like, was it still good and edible? Could we have repurposed it in some way, shape, or form? So kind of like asking all of those questions. And also the site visits, when we're on site, it allows us to identify different other types of waste reduction opportunities. So looking at existing recycling programs, or calling out the fact that in Connecticut, like, recycling is a law. So businesses should have some sort of recycling program set up. And, we want to meet you where you're at. So really kind of helping you take those steps forward, so that way you can start working towards like full compliance with the laws here in CT. But it also could be a low-hanging fruit for the business too. So maybe they have a recycling program and they know it's not very good, and trying to do a food scrap program right away is just like way too much. So like helping the business strengthen that recycling program could be that easy win to keep them motivated to move forward, and maybe doing even more. Also, during this time of the waste assessment, I'm having conversations with the business owner, or my stakeholders on site, trying to identify, different types of recommendations. So talking through different ideas, seeing what works for their current processes. CEC certainly does not want to offer suggestions or ideas that are completely outside of current processes and causing more change than necessary. Like, we really want to build these programs with the businesses to be in line with the processes as closely as possible. And then, another really good piece of our waste assessment that I feel is helpful for businesses is we're a neutral third party, and we really just want to look at existing waste services that are in place, and kind of make sure that you're getting the best bang for your buck. So, for example, a real common one that we see is people only collecting cardboard for recycling. And then upon like review of the invoice, they're paying for mixed recycling service, or we contact the hauler and find out that, oh yeah, it's all going to the same facility. Like, and they could be collecting other materials, such as, metal cans or bottles or whatnot. And on top of like looking at the invoices too, just making sure that the service is the right size for them. If they have a 8-yard dumpster or a very large dumpster and it's constantly being picked up half full, talking with the business about, hey, maybe we should downsize the dumpster to a smaller size or reduce the pickup frequency, because those are all savings that could be used to be reinvested into another program. So there's a lot that goes into our waste assessments, and we're a lot of different ideas, a lot of things to observe, but the goal ultimately is to develop a program and get you recommendations that can hopefully save some money, and get you started on doing even more on your waste reduction efforts. Next slide, please. So yeah, as Chelsea mentioned, we do have a food waste estimation guidance page on our website. This is, how we can help you identify whether or not you're triggering the law, help you kind of come up with some numbers for some service quotes to kind of get you a starting point. It is just an estimation though, so it's not like dead set, this is what you're generating. Businesses obviously are going to do everything that they can do to prevent food waste. But it does give you an idea of what could be going into your trash can and could help you come up with some numbers. Next slide, please. On this slide, I'm just going to do a very brief kind of like what to expect. So when you go to our estimator tool, it's not so much a calculator where you're going to put in numbers, but you're going to select the sector that you think your business belongs in. And then from there, it's going to provide you with a bunch of different metrics that you could be utilizing to kind of help determine how much food waste you're generating. I had selected restaurants here. So for restaurants, we're looking at meals served, number of employees, and the amount of disposed waste. And we do break it up between full service and limited service. That's basically like, is your business takeout only, or do they have sit down, dining? Because that can affect the amount of waste that you as a business might be dealing with. But typically we like to average out the metrics. So we want to try to gather as much information as possible to get a really good average. Just because if we're only going by, number of employees, it might not be as accurate if you have really good employees that don't cause a lot of waste. But CET is available to help with this. So we are more than happy to work with you, help you gather the metrics, help you get a starting point. And then from there, if you want our assistance further, we can go further and do a waste assessment. But we definitely want to help you figure out the math too. Next slide, please. And then one of the final things for our waste assessments that we do, businesses that we encounter or that we work with, they might have really good programs already set up, or they might be, yeah, let's get some of these recommendations. Let's implement some of these programs. We help with content development. So after a business, implements a program or has a really good program that we identify, we want to write a story about it so that the business can use it for marketing, so that they can utilize it to kind of be that leader in the industry that they're in, and showcase what they're doing, because it's important and it should be shared. Next slide. So some success stories. Next slide. One of our success stories was Blue Loon Bakery. They're actually based in a rural part of New Hampshire. So we're talking, out there in the woods somewhere. And what was really cool is when we started assisting them, they were already doing some EPA wasted food scale like prevention methods. They were repurposing dough into pastries. They were already donating to one of their local community organizations, and they were composting with the local farm, about 400 pounds per week. What CET helped them out with was a kind of a business help. They ended up working with or signing up for Too Good to Go. So for those who don't know what that is, it's an app where typically bakeries, but any store can essentially make like an end of day like grab bag and kind of post it on Too Good to Go, and then the community can get it for a reduced price. So not only does it keep that material out of the trash, the business makes some money, and the people on the app get a really good deal on some day old material or end of day material. Next slide. Another really good case study that we have is Johnny's Luncheonette, which is located in Massachusetts. They had reached out to us to help set up a food scrap separation program, and they were actually under the Massachusetts waste ban law in terms of generation. But they still found some benefits in setting up a program, as it also had a relatively low cost for them too. What's really cool is that they do a lot of education for their customers and talk about what they're doing. The compost company that they work with, they actually get some compost back and put it in the planters to kind of showcase the value of that material. And as I mentioned, they saw a really good benefit to their trash area because they no longer had squirrels or raccoons or anything like digging in their dumpster because all the food waste was taken out. So they saw the benefit in doing something even though they didn't have to do something by law. Next slide. And then recently right here in Connecticut, I helped out an assisted living facility, Jerome Home. they, during COVID, they had previous experience with a diversion program, and during COVID, they had to, suspend the program. It wasn't until CET had reached out to them, reminding them about this updated law in 2025, that they were like, yeah, we'd love to restart, but we want some help with doing it and making sure that we're making the right financial decision. And so we had gone out there, or I had gone out there, and I'm chatting with the dining service director. Turns out he had no insight to like the other stakeholders and pieces that he was dealing with. So uh, basically, dining services was footing that bill for the food scrap diversion program, but the food scraps were going into the facilities compactor at the time, which was handled by the facilities team and their invoicing with the hauler directly. So there was no conversation there, and I had mentioned that. And upon review, Jerome Home, after talking with their facilities team and kind of identifying what the potential savings was or reinvestment of those fundings could be, they were able to restart their program. Also on this slide too, there is a link, and as well with the other ones to the case studies. But this link has 2 other stories on there as well to check out if anybody's interested. Next slide, thank you. And last, I want to talk about some tools and resources. So first off, our website. We have 2 because like I said, well, we have a bunch, but we have our main Recycling Works website as well as the Reduce Waste CT website. And both of them have so much information, so many case studies, guidance documents, written and video, case studies, signage, training videos, all that kind of stuff. And there's just so much information on there. So check it out yourselves. Contact CET if you're looking for anything in particular, and we can kind of direct you to it because there is a lot to sift through. There is a lot of information, but a lot of good information. Next slide. As I mentioned, our guidance documents. So our guidance documents typically were really developed after speaking with businesses and finding out what they needed, or to even share like best practices. All of our guidance documents, for example, like our food donation one, was developed with health officials, food rescue organization leaders, food banks, and organizations that have established food donation programs so that we could gather those best practices and share out that information so that everybody's kind of on the same page. Next, we have all the different customizable signage that CET does. So this is like a big part of our technical assistance. After we do a site visit, we're identifying all the different types of materials that a business might be generating and then helping customize that signage, because having correct signage is very important for any kind of waste program. It really kind of gives management as well as staff that baseline of what goes where, and helping make sure that we have the cleanest streams possible. And it's especially important for food scraps because if there's contamination, a lot of that ends up going in the trash and there could be additional fees on the business. So we do want to make sure that that's taken care of. And then lastly, before I end, I want to talk about our Community Climate Fund. So there is funding available for new commercial compost customers. Basically, if you are a new to composting business and you're, just kind of like, well, financially, I really can't move forward, we have this funding available to kind of help get started with that. It's can cover up to 6 months. There is a cap, though, on the funding, and you do need to have a waste assessment from CET to even apply to this. This is something that CET kind of runs. We do it in partnership with Williams College, I believe, as well as some other entities. But it's really there to kind of help these businesses kind of make that initial step if they're interested. So yeah, any business that's ready to take some action, I got some action steps here for you. Check out the law, check out the reporting requirements, check and see if your business maybe is required to do something. If you don't want to do any of that, share this information out, like share it with businesses that might be generating food waste that you need help, that might need some help. And then also you could sign up for our free technical assistance too. But yeah, thank you.
All right, wonderful. Thank you so much, Nick. All right. So to help you all even more, we're going to hear from a couple of haulers, and they're going to go over their uh, key points for their services. So we'll start off with Nick Skiatis, from Curbside Compost. And Nick has been doing this for over 10 years, and he has a lot of experience working with various entities. So Nick, I will let you take it away.
Thank you, Jody. Thanks everyone for joining us, and thanks for kind of getting involved with this. Yeah, so we're here to we're essentially a hauling company. So we're providing basically like the a third container, another container for food scraps. It's kind of similar. I guess it's yeah, kind of a similar solution there. So you can go to the next slide. You can reach out to me at nick@curbcompost.org, or you can reach out at office@curbcompost.org. The service focuses mostly in commercial food scrap pickup. We provide 32 and 64-gallon carts. We can work with all types of generators. They could be single stop locations or larger generators, grocery stores, offices, municipal accounts, small, medium, basically all types of generators. In addition to more solid kind of food scraps, and when we talk about food scraps, we take any and all food scraps, including meat, bones, dairy, fruits, vegetables, and starches, all that. We also can handle more liquid material. So liquids, stuff that needs to be destroyed if it's a production location. We can take packaged food waste as well. So it could be on pallet. So if it's a grocery store and you don't want to depackage it at all, not a problem. We can take it that way. We kind of take it kind of any which way you have it. So all right, next slide. So as I was saying, for the more solid material, we're working mostly with 64 and 32-gallon carts. We bring the equipment to location. So we essentially kind of make some sort of assessment. We can go through CET and do the waste assessment. Also, we have a lot of experience with all types of generators. We have an idea of what people are generating at different locations. We work with basically all types of generators, including grocery, school, healthcare, university, nonprofit, assisted living, businesses, everything from big grocery chains to just like your corner bodega. Um, we also do offer site visits and technical assistance as well. So, if you want a little bit extra support, we're there to help you. Next slide. Yep, and then so the way it works is, right, we provide the carts and then we run the truck over to your location. Service level can be, once, twice, or three times a week service, depending on what you want and what you request and what you need. When we do run the truck over there, we record the material that we're taking from the site location, and we provide you with monthly environmental reporting. So we have an idea as to how much material is coming off-site from your location. We're working mostly by volume. So we basically record the number of carts of material we're taking into our truck, and then report it back to you on a monthly basis. Next slide. Where the material goes is to two processing sites in Connecticut, and we work in Connecticut and in New York. So Norwalk's great. We're obviously there, but we're across the region. We're working easy 100 miles from Fairfield County as well. But again, Fairfield County being a real focus for the service and for the company, that's kind of where we started everything. Materials going to two processing sites. We use Quantum Biopower out of Southington, Connecticut, which is an anaerobic digester. They have capabilities for depackaging. And then also we work with New Milford Farms out of New Milford, Connecticut. That's a traditional composting site. And they also have the capability of taking compostable ware. So sometimes it's tricky to find an outlet for that, but they can take the compostable ware, and so we can take that stuff as well. Next slide. Um, Goals, yeah. So as a reminder, we want food donated first. So we just kind of always remind folks, let's get the food donated, get the food to people who are in need, who can eat the food. Then we're looking to divert food residual from incinerators and landfills for composting and anaerobic digestion. We also sell and distribute compost and mulch in the Connecticut market as well. So we're doing, soils, compost, garden soils, mulches, all that. We also are looking to make food scraps a universal recyclable item in the state. So basically, not just large generators, requiring large generators to source separate organic material, but also have the smaller generators too. And also, we want to incentivize procurement of compost and mulch in the area, in the region. So I'd like to kind of require or incentivize municipal procurement to support recycled content in our market. So we should remember to always kind of support recycled content in our market. Next slide. This is just a picture of the carts outside of school. Typically, they're put on loading docks or near the waste area. It basically goes next to your cans. Um, and then we work obviously with transfer stations and all that. Again, multiple locations. Next slide. Trucking, obviously, we have expertise in trucking. You can see with some tipping and tipping arms. The material is pretty heavy. It's, I don't know, I want to say like 70% by weight, but we basically the tipper arms bring the material into the trucks. We roll the trucks up to your location, and then we bring the trucks over to the composting sites. Next. Here's an acceptable list. So obviously we work pretty closely with everyone. We can provide help with material as well. And then again, you can see kind of the basic acceptable list here. Obviously, as Nick was saying, signage is really good in site and on site. It's important to have clear signage. Yep, keep going. We also do provide residential service in Norwalk and in Fairfield County. All right, keep going. Soil delivery. Yep, you can keep going. Benefits of the program. Obviously we always like to, it's one, different people do the programs for different reasons. One benefit is obviously to follow the Connecticut Organics Law. So that's important. But obviously, there's a whole reason why we're all doing it. So some clear environmental benefits of not trying to burn the material. It's wet and heavy, doesn't burn well. If it goes into the landfill, it breaks down without oxygen and methane is input into the air. And what we're doing, we haven't really touched upon it too much, but here in Connecticut, we've got a lot of material that's being exported to landfills outside of the state. Almost 40% of material is being exported out of state. So we don't want this stuff filling up the landfills. And at the same time, we can make soil. We can improve our soil here in the U.S. Here in Connecticut. So there's obviously some clear environmental benefits, as well as abiding by current law and also telling a good story to your customers. So there's a really lot of nice benefits of doing this program. All right, keep going. It's pictures, and that's it.
All right, fantastic. Thank you, Nick. All right, Samuel. Samuel King from Blue Earth Compost also works in our area, has a lot of experience as well, and I will let you take it away, Sam, for
Sure, thanks.
your experience. Whoops, sorry.
No worries. Thanks so much, Jody. Great job, all the presenters. Really fantastic opportunity to be included in this group of experts in the field. We are another option for being able to work with to try and reduce food waste at your operation. If you're on this webinar, there's a really good chance you're looking for options for trying to figure that out. And so we'd really like to be considered. This presentation will walk you through a little bit of who we are as an organization, how we started, who the people are behind it, and why it's a good idea to try and work with us. So you can move forward. So I'd like to start off with the mission. That's really kind of what informs the services that we provide. We are trying to make sure that composting is more accessible to organizations, whether they be big or small, throughout the state of Connecticut and beyond. We believe that the food cycle is a really important thing to keep whole. And so we recognized, early on that there was sort of a gap in the infrastructure. And so we and that there weren't a lot of places that were helping to get the food waste that was generated from point A to point B, which is the processing facilities. So we exist to fill that gap and to try and make it easy, accessible, clean, and we do it for the environment. We do it for helping out our local businesses, and we do it for the community, public health, and for helping to lift up good green jobs in our areas. You can move forward. We were founded in 2013. You can see me and my partner there. We are not cast-offs from the waste industry. We didn't go to business school. We were actually both in environmentally related fields in college, and both found our ways to composting, even though that's not, exactly what we had set out to do. But we both found composting separately, and then we found each other, and we grew the business together. We're a certified B Corporation. If you're not familiar with that, what that means, it means that we essentially we walk the walk. It's easy for businesses to make a lot of claims about the benefits that they do for, again, the environment, the economy, and such things. But it's a little bit more difficult to back it up. So B Corp is an organization that checks out all those claims and certifies you as a business that's doing good. We are one of the largest organics haulers nationwide for organizations that specifically work in this field. And we really care about the environment. So we have a zero emissions target by 2030. Obviously, our trucks run on diesel. So we want to try and figure out alternatives. We have some things we've been exploring. This infographic you can see on the right-hand side of this page displays the amount of food waste that we've collected as of yesterday, actually, and the environmental benefit that is pursuant to those operations. So to give you an idea, just to read it, the amount of food waste that we've collected is equivalent to about 758,000 gallons of gasoline not being burned, things that would have been burned. Because of our work. And that's all due to EPA data. So we took it from there and are able to get into this format for making it tangible. We use these very same infographics for our customers too, to help to do the reporting. You can move on, Jody. So to get through the nuts and bolts, we work with you or with organizations like CET to try and get an idea about how much food waste is being generated. And we build a custom program for you. We know that not everybody's the same, even though there are often generalities and things that we can use to connect and help to inform what your program will be. We also know that your program is going to be unique to you. So we're going to try and fit you with the right containers, put you on the right type of schedule. We're going to make sure that we're keeping the containers as clean as possible. Our trucks have onboard power washers. So as long as the weather is warm enough, we're able to wash out your containers on site. That water goes back into our trucks. If you have an operation where you're throwing away lots of palletized material, we're able to pick that up as well. And we have cleaning solutions for that as well. We offer signage. I think that's pretty clutch. The signage that CET has is excellent signage, but ours is a little bit more customized towards our customers, so we're able to customize towards to work with you on that. Training is something we take a lot of pride in. One of the sayings that I have is that our programs won't be successful unless our customers are successful. So we want to make sure that we're going to be holding your hand as much as you need it to be held to get this program off the ground and keep it running correctly. As you saw, those weight reporting and sustainability metrics, those can be reported on a monthly, quarterly, or yearly basis. We have best-in-class reliability. That's really important to us. We understand that nobody wants to have food waste on site longer than it's supposed to be. So specifically, very much so in our commercial services, we're there on the day that you want us to be there and the day that we said we're going to be there. Our customer service team is great. They're in the office here with me. I'm not just saying that because they can overhear me. They are truly, really, really good at their jobs and they know the stuff well. And we try to make sure that we are attentive to anything as quickly as we can be. And we have a do the right thing mindset. I think it goes hand in hand with what I was talking about before with our B Corp status and sort of all this talk about how we got into this. But we really do try to go out of our way to do things the right way. just to give you an example, Nick mentioned the difficulties with compostable wares, that not every place that processes food scraps can take those materials. So we have to go to specific processing facilities, and we have to make sure that the material that we're collecting is going to the right place, even though it does come at a little bit more of a cost and it's a little bit more logistically difficult for us. We just want to make sure that we're doing the right thing with the materials that we're collecting. You can move on. To give you an example, here's some of the customers that we work with. So we are working with some kitchen table names, so you can know that the same level of service that we're providing to them is what you're going to get. But we work across the board. Colleges, yeah, cafes, anybody who really is throwing away food, we want to be able to provide a solution for. So if you don't see your organization, like what type of thing you are, but you still have food waste, let us know. We can figure out a solution for you as well. Go ahead. And rounding things out, just to kind of, tell you, why working with us is a good idea, and where we provide the most value, is these 4 reasons. So number one, we understand that economics is a really big part of making the solution. So we try to price our services to be competitive with trash as much as possible. The more you generate, more likely it is going to be that we can get you a cost parity or maybe even cost savings. We work with a number of grocery stores and some bigger generators that they are saving money using our service over throwing food in the trash. But if you're not in that category, there is still sort of a gap where some people are going to have to increase the amount of money that they're spending on their overall waste. We still see a lot of value in that, and I hope that they will too. But just know that our pricing is based on trying to make this accessible, making it affordable, and it's not based on ideology or us lining our pockets or anything like that. At the end of the day, we want to see this food going to a better place than the trash. We're dependable. I already hit on that, but we've been doing it for a long time. We got the science, we got the right technology, we got the right people. Marketable. You kind of got an idea about the ways that we do those reporting, but we also come with a packet of things that you can put up inside of your restaurant, or we can help you co-create things for social media. And if you have other ideas about ways to get in front of your customers, we want to be helping you tell that story as well. And lastly, clean. We understand that this is one of the biggest barriers, and nobody wants to have smell and pest issues at all. So we've tried to do our best to overcome those stigmas, and provide solutions so that you're going to have the best quality service that you can. I think that's my last slide. One more, maybe. Oh, okay. Where does it go? Yeah. So we also use Quantum Biopower. They recently changed their name to Quantum Organics in Southington, same as Nick does. It's a pretty darn cool facility. We're able to turn the food waste into electricity and make compost of it at the same time. So it's a double bang for your buck. And they're able to take all kinds of different types of food waste, whether it be packaged or not. So yeah, we're all really just trying to get in over all these barriers. So the cost, cleanliness, and being able to take packaged waste. At that point, there should be no reason why you're not composting, right? So yeah, it's a great solution. We do work with other composting facilities in Massachusetts and in Connecticut. But this is the facility where if we were to work with you in Norwalk, most likely we'd be taking it here. You can move forward, and I'm pretty sure this is my last one. So there's my contact information. There's our website, and there's our cute little mascot named Blue. Thanks so much for the opportunity today, and look forward to hearing from you.
All right, fantastic. Thank you so much, Sam.
Thank
All right, and next on our agenda is Arthur Henderson from Table to Ground, and he is going to cover some on-site options with you, and discuss things you'll need to consider, if that's something that is going to work for you and your facilities. So the idea well, I'll let Arthur get into it with you, and he's got some amazing technology. So without further ado, Arthur, please take it away.
Thank you, Jody, and thank you to the City of Norwalk for putting this panel together. incredible people. Hopefully it's informational to everyone and everyone can walk away from this having learned some different options about managing their food waste. We provide on-site in-vessel solutions to repurpose what we know as food waste into a resource. By doing this, you're going to reduce expenses, reduce greenhouse gases, and we think all of us working together, all of us in all the different solutions, that we can help save the planet. So we all know the food waste crisis is huge in America. If we just focus in on Connecticut for right now, if you're not source separating, probably 40 to 50% of that waste stream is food. And when that goes to landfill, you're creating a little under 4 pounds of greenhouse gas for every pound of food waste. This has a direct impact on our climate, and that is part of our goal to eliminate the methane gas while repurposing what we know as food waste into a useful soil nutritional product. Next slide, please. There are a number of states who have enacted food scrap recycling laws. Connecticut is one of them. Actually, the whole Northeast is on a pretty good track record to have legislated laws. And I wanted to break this down a little more for Connecticut. At 1,000 pounds per week, which is the law when you have to really start looking. If you break this down into how many pounds per day is that? So if you're on a 5-day business schedule, 200 pounds of food waste a day, excuse me, will put you in the crosshairs of the law. So to give you just an image of how much food waste that is, a 5-gallon bucket holds 25 pounds on average of food waste. So if you have the equivalent of 8 5-gallon buckets with food waste, you're on the edge of having to comply with the Connecticut laws. Next slide, please. Our biggest competitor is the trash can. I used to think the same thing. I throw it in the trash can, it disappears. It gets transported. It goes to landfill. It goes to incineration, which can be waste to energy. So we're giving a different solution. Next slide. We call it the grounder. We can repurpose as small as 100 pounds per day, and we scale up to different sizes, all the way up to 6,000 pounds of food waste per day. So there are 2 different options. If you want to make compost, you have to add 10 to 15% browns, sawdust, wood chips, dried leaves with each load of food waste. We have other options that are just using enzymes. It does not give you compost in the end. It gives you a great soil amendment that can be used and applied to the soil. Next slide, please. People say, well, how does it work? Well, basically, food waste goes into the top of the machine. It can either be done manually with the 5-gallon buckets. It can use an autoloader. If you look inside the machine, where all the food scraps go in, there's a long shaft with little arms that very slowly turn around, keeping everything mixed together. When it is ready to unload, the machine pushes the reconditioned, repurposed food waste out of the front. And on the far right is what it looks like. Next slide, please. So really what we're doing is we're repurposing all that food waste that you're aware of into a regenerative soil amendment. Next slide. This is a decentralized approach. Now, this could either be for where you're having scraps dropped off, or if you're working with a hauler, where that is taken to. So we can help you in either of those, but it's in vessel. Think about it at the site where food waste is actually being produced or being gathered. You're going to reduce the volume by 80 to 90% during a 24-hour cycle. And over a little bit of time, when it comes out of the machine, you're going to have a nutrient-rich soil amendment. Next slide. You look at who creates food waste. These are all the different areas that we've identified that are real generators. And so we're on a mission to talk with everybody. If we're not the right solution, we want to help point you in the right direction, because there's a number of solutions, and there's solutions that will take everybody in every different situation into consideration. Next slide, please. You'll hear a lot around this about plug and play. It's plug and play. It's very simple. It's plug and play. We believe the most important part of that is the planning part. You've got to review, how are you currently handling it? Do you really know how much food waste is being generated? Do you have a location that makes sense? Do you have particular needs that require a custom solution? So we'll work with you on the plan. And then when the solution comes in, it is truly plug and play. Next slide, please. So it allows you to have a big impact, not only reducing costs, you're reducing your greenhouse gases, you're going to be in compliance with state laws. The reduction by 80 to 90% of the volume is huge. You're really creating a powerful community story when you do this. Next slide, please. We're a team of 5. We're highly seasoned. Bob and I went to Clemson University together. We're a couple of veterans. We're a couple of women. We're a very strong team with a lot of relevant experience behind us. So we'd love to talk to you and see if we can help you with a solution that makes sense for your location. Next slide. And that's it. I can go into as much detail as anyone would really want. That's my contact information. Thank you again for everyone being here, and for the panelists and the City of Norwalk and Jody to put this webinar on. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Arthur. All right. And finally, we have Caitlin Abruzzo. And she is with On the Mark Events, and their business actually has implemented composting. So I will give Caitlin a few minutes to explain why you decided to do it and what that process was like for you, and anything else that you think is relevant to share. So thank you.
Sounds good. Sorry, I don't have that many slides today.
That's okay.
So everyone is aware, On the Mark is an offsite catering company. So obviously with catering comes a lot of food waste, whether we like it or not, and we hate it, but it is a part of it. So we started composting at our commissary facility in April of 2024. And we've had a tremendous buy-in from our staff. I know that Sam has probably kicked us some stats. I think in from April 2024 to December 2024, we probably composted something like 20,000, pounds. Sam, correct me if I'm wrong. But we take it so seriously because we work by nature. What we do, events can be wasteful. People's requests and things that people want, they want abundance, and they want their guests to feel like they always have as much as anybody could want in that scenario, and that's what they're paying for. So it became a really big thing for us, not just to reuse food or repurpose food that we could donate to our staff, let people take things home, etc. But there's also just the natural the natural ebb and flow of daily prep and, post-event things we couldn't, reuse, having to go somewhere. Um, so we have a pretty straightforward implementation. I think we have like 8 or 12 container 32-gallon containers at our commissary, and pretty loyal, following. Our kitchen manager takes this stuff very seriously. It's a personal interest of his. So we've had a lot of success. And, even people visiting notice our compost bins. Um, and it's been just very good. It's been very good to feel like in an environment where waste is sort of a byproduct of what we do, that we're able, to control some of it. So,
All right.
my God.
Fantastic. Thank
Yeah,
you
and
so
I looked
much,
up the
Caitlin.
data, and to date, you've composted over 35,000 pounds of food waste.
There you
So
go.
pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Awesome stuff.
Nice. Nice. I love it.
Yeah.
All right. Ah, fantastic. Thank you all so much for your amazing presentations and information. So now I would like to open it up to Q&A for anybody who does have questions. Let me see if I can get this. All right, so we do have one question from Diane. Great panel for table to ground. Do you have a chemical analysis of the end product and how does it compare to quality of aerobic compost?
So, yes, we have tested with a compost test out of the Penn State University composting testing facility. It is very similar. This is aerobic processing. I may not have mentioned that, but we do use aerobic processing. And the soil analysis is very good. The one part when it first comes out of the machine, it needs to mature a little longer. Adding the browns gives you a biologically active pre-compost after the 24-hour cycle. It can be used immediately out of the machine for a light top coating, or you can let it mature for another 2 to 3 weeks to get more mature compost. Hopefully that answers the question. If not, I'm happy to get into more details.
Yeah, and attendees, you can raise your hand and if you'd prefer to just go ahead and ask your questions instead of typing into the Q&A, you are welcome to raise your hands as well. Let's see, we have had some other questions regarding schools. And Chelsea has put the link in the Q&A for our school to further elaboration on school requirements, which again too is mandated for the 26 tons and is within 20 miles of a composting facility. And I believe there weren't that many schools that at this point in time were required. So I'm not sure how that's all going to break down, but I can tell you here in Norwalk, it is something we are working on with all of our schools at this time. So let's see. All right. I will be sending out slides and resources from our panelists to everyone who has registered for this webinar. So you will get all of the information that's been presented today. And let's see. We did have a question from the percent of organic waste goes to Quantum versus New Milford Farms or other composting locations. And let's see, Chelsea was able to provide a list. There is a list on Deep's website that does list all of the composting facilities that are in the state. So if you're trying to figure out if your school is within 20 miles of a facility, that is a great resource for that. I don't know if our haulers have any insight into how it's determined where you are taking the materials. Either Nick or
Yeah, I'll
Sam.
I'll hop in real quick. Yeah, I mean, proximity is definitely important. But also it's the waste stream that's really critical. So, if it's packaged, if it's still packaged, it pretty much has to go up to quantum. We've got very limited kind of depack options. So that's going to go there. If it's source separated organic material and it's clean, then you've got more flexibility. You can basically go to maybe smaller composting sites or more traditional composting sites. But that's a lot to do. So again, it's basically it's location and it's also matching the waste stream to the right processing facility.
Excellent. Thank you.
I can just add like one caveat to that too, is like something when we're going out and working and like meeting with the business, like we're observing like what materials are being utilized and like talking to the business about like, yeah, you might be spending all this money on compostable ware, or maybe they have, small plastic ramekins that they're using, and like talking through the different types of materials that could end up in the waste stream, and also helping them, make decisions and or like providing just information on what other types of materials they could be using to better streamline like where that could go. Because yeah, as Nick and Sam have mentioned, like it's going to be dependent on, if they have to drive that further to get to a different location, that could change the cost, or they could change the practices at the business to maybe do better type of sorting or a different type of sorting so that they can have a different type of material that could maybe get dropped off closer, so the cost could be cheaper.
Excellent. Thank you. We do have a question here. How is the city of Norwalk looking to approach composting? Great question. So right now I am working with our schools, and our administration wants all of our schools to be composting by January. So that is a big initiative that we are undertaking right now. And as far as the city, we've just launched a new hauler program and contract. So once that dust settles a little bit, that is going to be part of the sustainability and resilience plan that I am coordinating the efforts around with our city staff. And that will absolutely be a big component to reaching our goals once we determine exactly what those goals will be and how we're going to get there. But we absolutely are looking to expand composting across the city. It's something our waste department has been looking into and has applied for funding for. So it's absolutely the intention, and the planning will be to increase it broader across the whole community. All right. Do we have any other questions? Let me see. All right. I believe that's it for our questions. Any last comments from our panelists? All right. Then I would like to thank you all for attending and your interest and willingness to uh, figure out how to make composting happen in your business, organization, or community. And please feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions. And the slides, as I said, the slides and additional resources from our panelists will be being emailed to everyone who is registered. And I hope everyone is on your way to happy composting and making our communities cleaner and healthier. Oops, we do have one more quick question here from Allison. Any sense of how many are complying and not complying with the laws?
Question.
I suppose that's a question for me. Not really. There are, I've found that most of the places I've visited are either not aware of the law but are collecting and donating food waste anyway, or they're aware of the law and doing it. But there are probably several thousand places that I have not been to yet. So we have been doing outreach for several years since this law began in 2014. And yeah, so we do visits to folks. I'm going out to a couple places this afternoon. We've sent out letters to all the grocery stores in Connecticut, and we try to work with associations as well. So we're reaching out to, the Grocers Association. We're trying to be in touch with the Restaurant Association, and we've talked with Department of Public Health, trying to get the word out. It's sad to me how many folks don't know about this law, but thankfully, many folks are working towards the goals of the law without even sort of realizing that they need to. But yeah, I think that I'm not sure exactly how many folks that should be participating in the law aren't. Hopefully not too many, and I have not found anyone yet who is generating enough that isn't complying or isn't willing to. So Um, yeah, that's the whole point of having CET on our team and going out with the compliance assistance because we're trying to help folks along with it. But yeah, I'm not sure what the percentage is, unfortunately.
All right, fantastic. Well, we'll end on that note, knowing that there will be more after this webinar. So, again, you have all of our contact information, so please reach out if you do have any questions, and share updates with us. So let us know if you have started composting and how it's going for you. So on that note, we will go ahead and end. I again thank you all for attending. This was recorded, and the recording should be sent out as well. So thank you all. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.